Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where you're looking at a tired and almost beaten man today. I spent this morning doing battle with one of these behemoths of the Sudoku world, Sudoku history, a puzzle called Region Geometry by Emre Kalotoglu. I think I've got it here. I don't think it's spoiled because I did finish it. And yeah, I mean, that's a video no one's ever going to want to watch. 3.5 hours it took me to finish that puzzle. Just mad, absolutely mad. But anyway, I thought that's completely inappropriate for today on the channel. So instead, we're going to be looking at a very pretty puzzle that I think this was only submitted to us recently, but the testers say this is wonderful. It's by James Sinclair, a brilliant constructor, and it's called, I want to say, Confiable? Confiable? I don't really, I actually don't know what that word means. Actually, have I got my dictionary? I've got my dictionary. Let's have a look. Let's see what confiable means. Nothing apparently. Okay, I don't know. I don't know then. So, but anyway, it's called that. Apparently, it's wonderful. It has an enormously high approval rating on Logic Masters Germany. Just 2 stars out of 5 for difficulty. And here are some of the comments that I just snipped. So, yeah, I mean, just everybody eulogizing. Brilliant puzzle. 100th. I don't know if it's Sudoku says this may be James's 100th puzzle on Logic Masters. If so, fantastic. It's a nice way to celebrate. Very pretty grid. Normal rules today as well. And apart from telling you how tired I am, do I have any other news? No, I got sad news. Just before I turned on the webcam, I was looking at Twitter, and I saw that Ewan McIntosh had passed away. Very, very young to have died. But he played Keith, of course, in the British version of The Office. Absolutely, he was always a complete scene stealer. You know, a master of deadpan delivery. And if you want, you know, to give yourself a few moments of hilarious joy, go and watch some of the outtakes. They're all over Twitter at the moment, in which he had various roles. I mean, the one, I think my favourite Keith moment in The Office was his appraisal. When Ricky Gervais is sort of, as David Brent's obviously saying, under weaknesses, you've put eczema. It's absolutely brilliant. So R.I.P. to Ewan. That is sad news indeed. Anyway, I don't have any birthdays today. Do I have anything else to tell you? I don't think so. Just an appeal as usual. If you do like the channel, please consider subscribing. Totally free to do that, of course. And it's also, we have our Patreon site, which has Sudoku hunts aplenty, lots of bonus content, and it's a couple of bucks a month. And thank you to all those of you who support us over there. And with that said and done, let's have a look at Confiable by James Sinclair. These are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. And it says, and all clues are standard. Killer cages. The sum of the digits inside each cage is equal to the small number in the top left corner. Okay, and we have got given those. So those add up to 16, those add up to 14, those add up to 20. Oh, my microphone's slightly in the wrong place. Anyway, that's that. Let me just slightly move the microphone so it doesn't wander about while I'm solving. Arrows. The sum of the digits along an arrow is equal to the digit in the connected circle. So those 2 digits, you add them up. So say this was 1 and 8, you put 9 in there. That's how arrows work. And then the digits in cells separated by a black dot have a 1:2 ratio, and that means one of the digits will be double the other, and we've only got one of those. So if this square here was a 2, which actually it can't be because it wouldn't fit in a 20 cage, but this would be a 4 because 4 is double 2, or a 1 because 2 is double 1. And that's all the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I was about to start there, but I don't think I can actually. Yeah, I will just mention something. Well, there's two things I can say there. There doesn't have to be a 1 in this little 2x2, because you can make 14 with 2, 3, 5 and 6. But it might be a point to note that those squares have to be at least equal to 5, because the sum of these two circles is also equal to 14. And we couldn't put 4 and 10, for example, into 2 Sudoku cells. So these are relatively restricted. I was then wondering whether you could put one of the circles back in the arrows, but I think you can. Yeah, you can. Okay, so that's not a clever thought. The other thing I can see straight away is the 22k. In fact, I can see a digit that we can place straight away, because 22 in 3 different Sudoku numbers is always 679 or 589, and you can never put a 9 on a 2-cell arrow in Sudoku because the circle will always be at least equal to 10. So that's a 9. And then these digits are going to be from 5, 6, 7 and 8, and they're either going to be a 5-8 pair, which they're not actually, because if they were a 5-8 pair, then one of these would be 8, and the circle that emanated from it would be a 9, because you'd have to tie the 8 together with a 1 to make a single digit total, and neither of these can be a 9 by our old friend Sudoku. So this is a 6-7 pair, and we still got to be careful actually. Oh, yeah, it's really clever. Okay, so we still got to be careful not to make either of these a 9. So the 7 will have to accompany a 1, but then the 6 can't accompany a 1 and will have to accompany a 2, and both of these squares therefore become 8s, which is very... Okay, and now, where is 8 in the middle box? And that's going to put a lot of pressure on this 14 cage, because it's going to have to be an 8 and a 1, 2, 3 triple to get to 14, because the other 6 we need for the cage will have to be the 3 lowest digits, otherwise it will break. So now one of these is a 9, because we're going to have to put an 8 on one of these arrows. Now, what does that mean? Right. Ah, that's lovely. That is quite lovely, James. Good grief. Right, now look what this geometry is doing now. This is beautiful. Okay, so I just said that one of these digits was a 9, and that's true. And I don't know which one it is. I suppose the corollary of that, of course, from what we did before, is the other is a 5. So let's actually narrow that down. But that's not the beautiful thing. The beautiful thing is it doesn't matter which of these is 9. Both of these 16 cages now has a 9 in them. Maybe if you can't see why that is, do pause the video and give yourself a moment to study the grid, because it's so pretty once you see the way the digits interlock. So the point here is that you can see the 9 in the corner. So let's imagine for a moment this is the 9. Now, where is 9 in box 8 then? Well, it can't be in those squares, can it? So it's forced into the 16 cage. But the really beautiful thing is that 9 in this box, if this is 9, goes into this domino. And that has exactly the same effect on this 16 cage. And of course the logic is symmetrical. If this is 9, then you have to put a 9 in here, because we'd have those cells being ruled out from being a 9. But then, if this was a 9, you'd get a 9 in these two squares. And that does exactly the same thing. So the 16 cages are identical now. They have a 9 in and a 1, 2, 4 triple to add up to the other 7 that we need. And therefore... So now I'm suspecting this black dot is going to be the only thing that tells us... Yeah, the puzzle actually is completely symmetrical about the negative diagonal. If we were to draw a line, actually I can do that, let's do that. If I draw a line down the grid like this, and we imagine, well, if you look at the grid and imagine it folding over along that line, you can see everything is totally symmetrical. The only break in the symmetry is this black dot. So that black dot is going to have to determine why one of these is 5 and why one of these is 9. I don't know how that's going to work yet, but that must be what happens, and that's really cool. Now, what could we do next? Right. Okay, well this... right, the corollary of what I've just said about the symmetry is that whenever we find any logic in this puzzle, we need to look in the symmetrical place around that diagonal to repeat the logic, because it ought to be repeatable, and indeed it is. Where are 1 and 2 in this row? They've got to be here by Sudoku, because they can't be there, and they can't be there because they're sitting in these cages. And now, just repeat the logic, but in this column, where the 1 and 2, they've got to go at the top. Right. Okay, I've seen something up here, but I'm just gonna have a quick look at these two arrows as well, because I've seen that obviously we can't put 9 on an arrow. So 9 is always in one of these two squares in each of these boxes. And these circles, look, they don't have many options. They're either 3 if this was a 1-2 pair, or they're 5 if it's a 1-4 pair, or they're 6 if it's a 2-4 pair. And there's going to be some restriction depending on which of these cells is 5, but I can't immediately see how to do that. It's there are other really interesting things about the geometry, like look at this square. Now whatever digit that is, it obviously doesn't live in this cage, so it's going to go there, and then in the middle box it's going to go there, and then in this box it's going to go here, and it's going to get transplanted all around the grid. I don't know if we need that. I will come back to that if we need it. But yeah, the other thing I was thinking is, well, it was to do with these cells. I feel like those 5 are almost going to be forced to be maxed out. And the reason I'm saying that is if we look at the arrows here, neither of these arrows can have 1 or 2 on them, which means the minimum sum, if this was the minimum we could put on an arrow is a 3 and a 4, which makes this at least 7. But that is also true for this, and they can't be the same digit. So these are from 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, it's maxed. So now what we need to do is to consider these 5 cells as a set, and ask what the maximum value of 5 different Sudoku digits is. This is just a brilliant puzzle. It's a brilliant puzzle. The maximum value of 5 different Sudoku digits is 35 if they were 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5. Now, we know those 3 squares add up to 20. The minimum value of these would be 15 if they were 7 and 8. And that gives us 35, so that's what it must be. So we can't put 9 into these squares. These cells are 5, 6, and 9 by elimination. Oh yeah, look, another black dot. James, you are just a sensational Sudoku setter. This is beautiful. It's beyond beautiful. It's so clever. I mean, it's clever in a different way. Like the last couple of days, I've done monstrously difficult puzzles that have been incredibly clever in their own right. But this is a different sort of beauty. Look, this is a black dot digit, which means this digit has to either be half or double the digit here. Well, 5 and 9 won't work, because this can't be 10, 18, 2.5, or 4.5. So that is 6. This is 3. Now, what does that do? Don't quite know. This is a 1, 2, 4 triple by Sudoku, but the symmetry's now been broken. Yeah, okay, and both of these little arrows have to have 3 on them. They're either 3, they've definitely got 3 on them. They're either 3 and 4 or they're 3 and 5. So, what does that mean? So, don't know actually. I haven't quite seen what the result of that is yet. 6 has to be in one of those cells by Sudoku. So 6 is not in that cell. Now that means, okay, so that means on this arrow now, we must have a 1, mustn't we? Because it's either 1 and 2 or 1 and 4, so we can get rid of 1 from the other positions. And we can we can hope we're going to spot something else, but I don't know. I haven't got any. Oh, I see. Look, 5 is looking at this arrow. So this is the 7 arrow, which means that's the 8 arrow, which means this doesn't have 4 on its arrow. So that's probably done something. Let's get rid of the 3s in the corner from those positions and stare again. Now, can we do... Ah, yeah, look, that's 3, 5. So that stops this being the 5, and therefore that's the 9, that's the 5, because we know these two add up to 14. That 5 sees that one, so that becomes a 3, which means these two squares are now a 1-2 pair. Let's tidy all this up. We get a 2, well, no, we get 4, 9 on the other diagonal. Now we now know how this breaks down, don't we? We must have a 1-8 pair adding up to 9 and a 2-3 pair, which resolves this on the left-hand side. So 3 and 4 go in. 3 is in one of these squares by Sudoku. 4, well, there's a few things now, because 2 and 4 are looking at those two squares, so that becomes a 1, and that becomes a 9. Right, let's see where that takes us then. So this now becomes either... Oh, this can't be 6 again now, so this is 3 or 5 as well. Oh, there's loads of these like little pairs going on. They're all over the place in the puzzle. Where is 8 in this box? It's there by Sudoku. Where is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9? These are 6, 7 and 9. We may as well just see if we can quickly do some pencil marking that will help us. That was a terrible idea. That's a terrible idea. Sorry, that was useless. Okay. So this 3, is that... 3 must be in one of those two squares. Yeah, I can see a different way I could have seen that. What about... Where's 5? 5 is in one of those squares. So 5 is in one of these squares. So 5 is in one of those two cells. That's not able to be 6, look, by the power of Sudoku. And for our next trick, we will argue that... How are we going to... Oh, I see, we've got 1, 2 pairs. Ah, this one. It's more Sudoku. How unsurprising that I didn't see it. So that sort of figured out there. Yeah, no, that's done loads. So 2 is now in one of these squares at the top of column 9, and 2 are lines, look. So we can ask where 2 goes in this row now. It's not in these cells, it's not in these cells, so it's in one of those two cells, which means it's definitely not there. And the upshot of that is going to... Oh, look, this is a 3, 7 pair. So these squares have got to be 5 and 6, and that's huge, because that makes this a 3. Okay, that might not be huge, not done anything actually. No, that's weird. I don't think it has done anything, but it does give me a 2, 4 pair at the top of this column. The 3, 5 pair does the 5 and the 9. Yeah, there's a bit of Sudoku that I could have majored on. 5 is now in one of these cells. Let's get rid of the 2 here. There's a 4 in one of these. There's a 1 in one of those. Can we do better than that? Yeah, actually we can. There's a 1, 2, 4 in this in this row that I'd not noticed. So I suppose in this row we're looking to place all the high digits, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So now I can see that the 9 has only one position to live in, and that's there. The 6 must be over on this side, one of these two squares, and by Sudoku now I get a 5-6 pair there, which actually places the 6. So that's 6, that's 5, that's 1, that's 2, that's 4. This is 2, that's 4, that's 7, that's 3. Oh, this is just beautiful, isn't it? This is a 6-7 pair. This is something. Not the most descriptive thing. 4 or 8. There's a 2 in... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to eliminate 2 from one of these. I'm so relieved as well. I was absolutely shattered when I finished the M-Ray puzzle earlier. I am not used to concentrating for that amount of time. Now, what are these squares? 3 and something. 3 and 4. So we must be able to... yeah, the 1 is doing work. So we do 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 5, 1, 8, 8, 4, 4, 9, 4, 3, 3. That was useful, wasn't it? Can we do the 6s and the 7s in these columns? Maybe not. So what do we need? 5, 6, 5, 6 and 7. Okay, no, maybe we can't. But look, 7 has to be in this domino. So that sort of becomes a 5-7 pair. And in this column we've not put in 6 and 4. So that's got to be the 6, that's got to be the 4. We've not put in 6 and 9 here. So the 9, the 6, the 6, the 7. And these cells down here are now resolved. 5 and 7 can go in. In this row we've not put in 1 and 4, which we can do. So that does the 1 and the 2, that does the 1 and the 2. And we might have to do this column, or no, actually let's do this column. 6 and 8. Can we? Yes, we can. 6, 8, 8, 5. 5 goes here. 2, 7, 9 to place. So the 2 must go here, the 9 must go here, the 7 must go here. 7, 6, 7, 5, 5, 6, 9. That is just brilliant. That is quite brilliant. What a beautiful puzzle. Lots of people have solved it, actually. James's puzzles are hugely popular with, and that's the reason. 2 days, actually. It's a new puzzle. That's the reason, because that is such a gorgeous Sudoku puzzle. Completely different flavour to the last couple of days, in the sense that this was very, very... no, it wasn't easy. It was just beautiful. Nobody could do that and not enjoy it. The way that the way these two cells interacted, and the fact that you didn't need to know which one of them was a 9 to deduce something about the 16 cages, and then the way that led to this high quintuple in box 1, and that resolved everything. All the symmetry is completely resolved by the black dot. I mean, you can just feel when you solve that you are in the hands of an expert constructor. Isn't that gorgeous? Let me know in the I don't understand the title. Let me know in the comments about that, and do let me know whether you enjoyed this and how to go at it. I really hope you did, and James deserves a lot of plaudits. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.